Losing this man. Two things. Plutonic. That's a share. If we share, if you share. Like, if you share. Only on it now.
Can you please mute yourselves, sir? I feel like doing countdown to action to say 5, 4, 3, 2, something like that. Should we do camera rolling?
Yes. Start rolling.
Correct. We have 1 more minute and then we'll get to the business of the day. Oh yeah, it's time. It's action time. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Good afternoon. Good evening to Ezine or whoever is joining us from Europe. But to all our African guests, good afternoon. And I welcome you to part 3 of our stream. This panel is titled Evolving Notions of Women's Role in Fame. My name is Elizabeth Olayola from University of Abuja and also a postdoctoral fellow at the African Institute Saja, UAE, and I will be piloting the affairs. So don't worry, you're in good hands. Okay, so let's get to it. We have 4 presenters and they'll all take 15 minutes each, after which we have 30 minutes for questions. Please, we need your prayers for stable network. So if you can pray, start praying, please. Our first presenter will be speaking to the rise of female filmmakers in the Nigerian film industry, and that is Lawrence Akonde from Pan Atlantic University. It will be followed by the paper titled Challenging Dominant Narratives, Female Filmmakers in Alternative Film Industries in Nigeria. And this is by Fancy Goodman from Covenant University and Joseph Jonathan of University of Nigeria. Then we have the third paper, which will be the perception of viewers of Lionheart and Up North by Onyinye Wamo of the Chukwuemeka Odumegu Ojukwu University. Last but not the least, new trends of sensationalism in the Nigerian film industry, an evaluation of selected women-produced and directed films. And this is by Arafat Aderonke Hussein, Bayero University. Without much ado, I believe we have Lawrence Akonde in the house. He must be on site.
So can you move forward so that I can put the camera on you while you are presenting? You can just sit in front. That's it.
Okay, sir, it's good to see your face. And your time starts now.
Okay, thank you very much. Hope you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you clearly.
Okay, so the title of this paper is The Rise of Female Filmmaker in the Nigerian Film Industry. Now I put Lagos based on the feedback from that I got because the people I interview or people I talk about are mostly from Lagos. And from the presentation yesterday, I think I had somebody say, well, you got to know it has to do with the films from Lagos because that's where the name actually came. So I don't want to change these things. That this is Nigerian film industry that I have on the brochure. So let me start with the introduction. The Nigerian film industry has actually emerged as cultural aesthetic of new world order, which is according to Afolabi et al. In 2022, which shows that the Nigerian film industry is actually changing what we used to know. Because the whole world, like the man that gave the name Nollywood, said Hollywood and Bollywood, here comes the Hollywood, because of the new thing that Nollywood is introducing into the film space. So the industry has expanded over the years and over the decades. That Nigeria is now one of the strong film industry in the world. And currently, the rise of filmmakers in Nigeria is something that caught everybody's attention. Because in the last 5 years, at least last year, I know 80% of the film, the big box office film, were either directed by a woman or produced by a woman, or the two are combined, which is a significant move away from the center. Because when we are growing up, we know it used to be a man's world, especially when it comes to film. And that's why, like somebody said in the body, all the filmmakers used to marry so many wives because no woman wants to go into film in those days. But if a man marry a woman, then you automatically brought into the industry. And the Nigerian society, we can't talk about the rise of women without making reference to patriarchal framework. Because there's no way, we all know it's part of African model. But to come out of it is something that is unique, especially in the film industry. So some filmmakers, especially female filmmakers, have been able to define the expectations and convention to produce well-regarded movies that address significant issues, social issues, and also the challenge stereotype and honor the experience of our women. And these are the things that I'm trying to look at. And we have a lot of these filmmakers, female filmmakers in the industry that have broken down all these barriers, such as we know Funke Akindele, Genevieve Imaji, and then we know Tope Oshie and Kemi Aditiba, a lot of them like that. And the question is this: what are the views of Nigerian filmmakers on this rise of female filmmakers in this industry? We at academia, we can have our own view, but these filmmakers, both male and female, what is their own perception? What are their views on this new rise of female filmmakers? And another one is what are the challenges that female filmmakers are facing? Because we have 10, I mean 8 out of 10 of the box office film, maybe we don't have any challenge. But we need to know what are the challenges that female filmmakers are facing. And the top one is what are the effects of this rise of female filmmakers in Nigeria on the next generation? As a teacher and observing the rise in the numbers of girls who enroll in film studies, show that there's something that is making them to come and want to be a filmmaker, which is not what used to be. Before it used to be men. But now you're having girls who want to study film. So these are the questions that I try to look at in this story. So I look at in 2021, fortunately or unfortunately, the person that put it is one anchoring this session, who said Nigerian female filmmakers should be careful with the newfound success achieved in the Nigerian film industry and become more intentional about their representational practice. I know she's looking at how the female portray women in their films, but I'm looking at it from the perspective that we need to study how these women are actually changing the system. So we need to look at what are those things that they are doing that is making this new success to come up. And because if we don't, we think it's accidental, then we may not be able to do this. And especially the young filmmakers who are coming, they might see the fame of Funke Akindele, Kemi Adetiba, but if they don't know what are these people doing that make them unique, that give them this success in the box office, then we are losing it. So women in the film industry in Lagos who are really breaking the glass ceiling, and the Nigerian film industry produced more than, which that one is history now, over 2,500 films annually. The industry has come under fire for its traditional and frequent derogatory portrayal of women in the past. But these women are actually changing it. The dynamic is shifting from growing numbers of female filmmakers who are getting prominent in the industry, and they are breaking the barrier every time. So I want to quote Moabudu, who said, "I've always wanted to rewrite the African story. In my mind, I've always wanted to discuss the problems in our culture." This is Moabudu in an interview telling us why he's into the industry and why he wants to push the narrative, which is contrary to what used to be. And these women producers and directors, we have Amaka Igwe, film like Violated, Love Again, Tope Oshi, who actually did a documentary on Amaka Igwe herself, which is titled Amaka Spirit, The Woman of Hollywood, and also Wedding Party, and Mildred Oku, who did the film The Meeting, and Lafemi Angela, and also Jadesola Uside, who also produced the film The Short Film. And we have Kemi Adetiba, the King of Boys, and the Wedding Party. We have Genevieve Ineji, who portray women as not in a stereotypical way and in limelight. And we have Moabudu, who also directed, produced some films like 50, The Wedding Party 2, Chief Daddy, The Excellency, and The Root to Rape. And we have Funke Akindele, who is actually breaking the new ground with a film like The Tribe Called Judah, Everybody Loves Jennifer, Omogeto Designer, and also The Battle, the Buka, and then Bolanle also Peter also produced 93 Days, Television Course, Big Negotiation, The Other TV, the Picture Perfect, Bread and Life, Glory, and Hope. We have Mad Unnecessary Day, Adam Modadi, Beckman 77 Bullets, and Chineye Nwora, Shantytown, Slum King, Tough Law. So we have these women who are actually doing great work. And what I explore, what I use in this study is conducting interview with these Nigerian filmmakers, both female and male. We want to know, like I said earlier, what is their view about this, what is going on now. So I had an interview with Brenda Chiazon. She said that there still exists some gender bias in the film industry regarding funding. So our perspective that it's not the fact that women are making it doesn't mean that they still know who bias. And the other TV, in an interview with her, she actually said, well, maybe because of her structure or of her physique, she doesn't feel this any intimidation with anything. And she has never been bothered with what are the men doing or whether they are against her or whether she does her own. And in an interview with Lancelot, who is a male filmmaker, and some other ones, and Chioma will happen to be a good friend, actually agree that funding is a common issue.
5 minutes more.
Okay, with filmmakers in Nigeria. But Chioma actually shows something that the problem is the absence of structural financing option. That is the problem that everybody is facing. But the male filmmaker in Nigeria actually commended the female filmmakers that they are not against the rights of female filmmakers because it's giving a new shift towards inclusive and representative of storytelling. And what they seek is cooperation and partnership with their female counterparts. That now that female filmmakers are up there, they need to cooperate together and produce film that can cut across both gender. And so they recognize the unique perspective, and the talent men are bringing. That they are looking at it from the angle that men were not looking at filmmaking in Nigeria before. And then let me conclude with this. The interview with filmmakers on the rise of women in Nigerian film industry, especially in Lagos, serve as a powerful reminder of the invaluable contributions of women to the industry's growth and evolution, with the following results. The first one is female filmmakers infuse their work with unique sensibility, addressing a wide range of themes and narratives that resonate with audience across the globe. That their story is not just a story that is predictable because it's meant to, but their story actually comes across. And that is one of the things that they identify as what is making them to be successful. And another one is with the more commercial success and critical acclaim story and partnership deals that these women are having, Nigerian female filmmakers are lighting the path for future generation of women. And this is why we now have more girls enrolling in film school, because they have seen it that yes, I can become anything I want to become. So it's not what it used to be. As long as these people are doing it, they serve as model. And sometimes when we bring these female filmmakers to class, the students are very happy and said, yes, I remember when we attended a film. They were telling them that you are a role model, and because of you, we enroll in film school, which is a new thing that is we are seeing in the film industry, especially in Nigeria. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for the stimulating presentation, and thank you for saving us less than 2 minutes. So we take Fancy Goodman and Joseph Jonathan. It's your turn.
Thank you.
Do we have Fancy Goodman?
Shall I close this one?
Yeah, I can. They will share from there. It's not big deal. It will not affect it. They are not even online. The people are not online.
They are not.
Fancy Goodman. I hope you're not referring to us. We are online. Thank you.
No, Elizabeth, she's saying that Fancy is not online. Can you see
Oh,
her?
I thought it's Fancy saying the people are not online.
No,
Okay.
No.
yeah.
Okay.
We move on to the next list.
Okay. We'll move on. Do we have one more? One more. I thought I saw Siva a minute ago. One more. Okay, I'll take the next.
There are two attendees. Please click on the attendee button. Let's see who is there.
Okay. They are not there.
They're not there.
Okay,
It's
I saw one more.
Nada and Sonia Nini.
Okay, no problem.
They are not there.
Okay, so we'll take Arafat. Is Arafat Aderonke on?
Your charge.
Okay, thank you. It's good to see you. Good to put a face to the name. Okay, it's your time.
Sorry, just a second, please.
afternoon, everyone. Happy New Year and good share. I'm so happy to be here to discuss the topic sensationalism in Nigerian film. And what me and my co-author, Madia, really try to do with this paper is to look at the new trends of sensationalism within the Nigerian film and then be evaluated, selected, produced, and directed films by female directors and producers. So we use Biodu Steven, Sister, and Funke Akadele, the tribe called. So, and one would ask that why sensationalism, like why of all things to look for in this film. So it just first it was one out of a review of Salvador's African cinema, and we tried to look at the discussion around African cinema, the need to sell or to tell, or what's the direction of African cinema. And then another thing that prompted this paper is, having queued for so long with the cinema to watch the tripod Judah, and we came out of the cinema and we saw people laughing, and we were like, why are you laughing like this? This is a serious issue that has been treated. This is something about single mother and her trials and how she lost one of her sons with the person, and then you come out of the cinema, you're laughing. So it became a question for us, and we thought, oh, how does sensationalism fit? How does it affect the cinema, African cinema, in terms of film? And directly, how does it affect women produced and directed film? So that's what we try to look at, right? So this paper, we'll be looking at the overview of industry and then the growth of reflecting societal conditions. We also try to hammer on understanding sensationalism. What really is sensationalism? How does it fit? What are those things that people have talked about writing and sensationalism? And then in case studies, is that a track of that. And we look at the thematic analysis and then the findings using the field, the both fields, and then we have conclusions and recommendation. So yeah, the Nigerian film industry is not relatively not new, something that has grown in a large sense. And the second largest film producing industry globally started from colonial era. Then we have the strength of growth and how the messages was infused from trying to look at the idea of what is really African cinema, what do we term as African cinema to them, looking at what are those themes at that period in time that needed to be out there for people to know about it on African cinema, African, for Africa, and by Africans. So yeah, filmmakers all through the year, they try to adapt and reflect the societal trends in such a way that sensationalize the viewers, the audience. They try to, in some way, buy their emotions into, selling these films and also telling their stories. And that's what we pretty much what we use at this analysis. Now, what sensationalism simply put it is the presentation of stories in a way that is intended to provoke public interest, excitement, at the expense of accuracy. That the question of whether or not what is accurate also comes to play. And also, sensationalism is a bias where events, topics are overhyped to increase viewership or readership figure. Often, trivial issues are treated in a light mode or exaggerated terms. And then we also look at David Perry's opinion of sensationalism in two folds. The first category is saying sensationalism from the reader defined perspective is how the content or the story in the text is being communicated. Right? The second perspective is how the audience perceives that information or how they receive that story. And that's why embedded sensationalism, visual portrayal of that story, how the actor were likely to be, how the directors were able to also look at ways of distributing the content. So in this fold, sensationalism comes in place in two. So the first is the idea generation, when the idea is being conceived, and then you have the directors and writers. They have what really we want. What would we want them to perceive in this? We want to be the highest, selling film growers in Nigeria, in Africa, or we just want to tell a story about single mother and how people come out of the thinking about what is really happening in a society in Africa. Why do we have see the high rate of single mother? Why? Is there a problem in the social norms? And those are the questions that this articles tend to bring out. So what really is sensationalism? How the director, how the producer put an high level of sensationalism in their text, in their films, to find in some ways the audience viewership, to address the audience viewership. And then that's why it's important to look at a chapter. I mean, it is directed, produced by a female. Secondly, it has reached 1 billion streams, and it's one of the highest streaming film in the cinema. I mean, it's such a great one. I mean, you get to look at what is the theme of this film. What is the theme of this film? The most important one, which like amount of anything, is the single mother, and how she has 5 sons, different fathers, different tribes. So the question then is, how are these themes portrayed in the movie? We see, Jelida, she's trying to work her way through life, regardless of the fact that she has a son, Adamu, from that loves her, that treats her well. Then she has another one, or some other one, Shino, that stresses her. That one of them is a child, and all of that. And at the end of the day, through the plot, through the conflict, we realize that because she could not find a means of support, a means to call her to go and say, oh, the trauma that happened because of from one husband to another, she decided to go into drinking alcohol to just pace herself, and that resulted into her having kidney stones. Okay, one would expect at this point of the film that the good child that is expected to to be trained and brought up by a single mother, to put his life in line and try to save his mother. But in reverse of the case, we find all the children robbery, and at the end of the day, the good child dies, and the one that's the couch is the one that even rescues her. So what? And then, like I said, when we came out of the cinema, the question then is, so what is it that you gain from this movie? What is it? Is it to laugh? Is it to think about the reality of the issue that's happening? How possible it is that a woman that got married, divorced, and to 5 different men from 5 different tribes. So it is something that is comical, that you should come out and start laughing. So that exactly is the talk of analyzing this. The life of the protagonist is Jelida, presenting having 5 songs, like I said, from different men in a comical way, and also trying to detach the viewers from that emotional depth of our story. And that is one case. And the second case, like I said, don't forget the number. So this movie have 1 billion streams, right? And we have the second case, we have Sister by Beyonce film, same thing. We have a single mother that strikes, just like every, like I said, Nigerian in some way. The father is abandoned. The father abandons his woman. In this particular story, the father abandons both his children and his wife. And then at the end of the day, she realizes that, oh, the father is an employer's husband. And then and what we expect that, the confrontation, the reconciliation part of it, how is it presented in such a heavyweight manner? There are exceptions in the movie where she starts facing the man, and then the man faces Fola, the husband, and then the depth of the story, the depth of the action, the sequential arrangement of plot, it actually drives the audience to look at the theme and say, oh wow, this theme is about single motherhood, it is about genuine empathy from the audience, and those are the things that we try to evaluate in this film. And then one will ask, so what is the streaming number of Sister? And that's another question that we try to pop out now. So, is it as a medium of distribution of it? Because Sister was not in the cinema for a long time, so the various other streaming platforms like Amazon, Prime, and all of that. Or was the consideration of the streaming platform was just because it is not a film that was made in some way to, how do I say, sell, but to tell? So is that the intention prior to distribution, or the intention was just to tell the story? Because, from the other student's perspective, the story about our mother, how our mother, thrives to bring out about a single mother. So what really is the intention of the director to be that at that period of time of conceiving the idea and of course to distribute that idea. So those are the things that we try to analyze using the both fields. Now, the conclusion and recommendation. Number one is that both films reflect the growing number of single mothers, mixed families, Nigerian, African, the societal perspective which every film, film arranged to film in all forms arranged to mirror the society. We should see an iota, if not all of what is really happening in society, which both films have done. The second one is how does sensationality play in the content of the story, in the actors, in the directors, and then in the mode of distribution. We find out that we can be quite publicizing or marketing this movie. She used various platforms, and most of this she was even publicizing about was not even pertaining to a child called Judah. So just to in some way short form content to buy the viewers into watching this movie. So and those are the things that we aside looking at the serious issues that we depict to detach the emotional reality of the audience. Also, what is the storytelling approach in both films? So we look at the plot, the conflict, and then the resolution. In Tripod that we saw that the mother, regardless of everything she has gone through, is being rescued by the child that she least expected, and the child that is loyal, that is loving to up from the beginning of the plot dies. So what really is the plot? What really is the form of moral impact that film is trying to sell? And then we have balancing, like I said, to sell or to tell. And this was brought out of reading to our global African, and he said, oh, African cinema, is it an art or a business? So what really is the form of African cinema in this age and time? What really are we directing into going forward? Is it to actually tell those stories about social norms, about social impact, or to actually sell and bring ourselves as the highest, the second producing industry in the world and all of that? So yeah, in all of we recommend that filmmakers must carefully navigate the line between creating engaging content and upholding the ethical standard of giving moral impact of story. So sensationality of course boosts appeal. It makes the audience want to actually read and watch these films or these texts, which is actually the core of making the films, right? Nobody wants to make films or nobody wants to create texts or acts that are not read or they are not seen. So how sensationalism can of course boost appeal, we must also try as much as possible to create that moral impact of story. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Arafat, and thank you for saving us almost 2 minutes. And we'll come back for questions for everybody afterwards. Is one more ready for us?
Yes, good evening. I'm very ready.
Okay, then shoot. Your time starts.
I need to share my screen, right?
Yes, please
Yes,
show
I
your
guess
screen.
you are enabled to.
Are you seeing my screen?
Not yet.
Not yet.
What about now?
Yes.
Yes.
Ma, click on the fourth icon on the lower part of your screen to make it a slideshow. The fourth icon on the bottom part, the right hand. No, the next one. Go back, Ma.
Yeah?
No, to the right, to the right.
Yeah?
The next one and then the next one. The next
This
one.
one?
The next one, Ma. Yes.
I just did that. Am I good to go?
No, not
Yes,
yet.
please carry on. Let's not waste time on this.
Okay.
Carry on. Would survive. Thank you.
Okay, good evening, everyone. My name is Onye Sylvia Nwamor from the Department of Mass Communication at Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu University. I'll be presenting a study that interrogates gender portrayals in Nollywood through the lens of two thought-provoking films, Lionheart and Up North. I'll start by saying that Nollywood is one of the most powerful cultural tools because it shapes how millions think about identity, tradition, power, and gender. And we can all agree that from day one, gender portrayals in Nollywood have been rigid. Women were either weak or seductresses. Men were strong but emotionally barren. I chose Lionheart and Up North because they disrupt this pattern. Lionheart elevates a competent female executive, while Up North redefines masculinity through softness, empathy, and public service. Let me dissect the two films that anchor this study. Lionheart and Up North were both released in 2018, but they offer strikingly different commentaries on gender and identity within the Nigerian society. Lionheart, directed by Genevieve Nnaji, holds historical significance as the first Nigerian film to be acquired by Netflix and also Nigeria's initial submission to the Oscars under the Best International Feature category. This film made an international cultural impact and grossed over 21 million naira in Nigerian cinemas, but it's gained far more visibility through streaming platforms. Nnaji plays herself as the lead character, Adezo Biago, a composed and highly competent executive navigating the chaotic male-dominated world of her father's transport business. Adeze's leadership is calm and yet effective, but she was always under negotiation, first with her father, and ultimately when the company chooses her uncle as the managing director, despite her clear qualification. This subtle narrative here reveals how female empowerment in Nollywood still contends with patriarchal concessions, even in seemingly progressive scripts. Now, in Up North, directed by Tope Oshin, this film made 94 million naira domestically. And the story follows Basi Otuekon, a wealthy, entitled Lagos youth who is reluctantly posted to Bauchi State for his NYSC service. But as the film progresses, Basi transforms from indifference to empathy, from arrogance to advocacy, from indifference to empathy, especially when he begins supporting young Nigerian northern girls playing footballs, challenging deeply entrenched regional gender norms. Now,
Miss Sylvia? Miss Sylvia, can you hear me? Hello, Miss Sylvia.
It's a network glitch, so definitely she'll struggle to hear.
Actually. So.
Yes, it is. It's a glitch from our end.
It's from my end.
Yes. I guess we'll give her a minute and see if she's able to connect back.
Not addresses masculinity.
Okay, that's good. Okay, so are you back?
Yes, I'm back. So sorry about that. My network is having issues. I'm so sorry. I need to start sharing again, right?
Yes, please.
Okay. So
your video, that might help.
Can you switch off your video? Okay. Maybe that would help.
Yes, let me do that. Yeah, let me do that. Yes.
Awesome.
Okay. Moving to the theoretical framework that guided this study, my research was rooted in the reception theory, and this theory assumes that audiences are not passive vessels. Rather, they actively interpret media through their cultural, social, and personal lenses. This theory is an ideal framework for understanding how different Nigerian viewers decode the same film in distinct ways, especially on a topic as complex as gender. Now, it tells us that meaning isn't fixed. Audiences bring their own experiences, beliefs, and biases to the interpretation of media. So, a single film can be read in multiple ways, depending on who is watching and what context they are in. It is also important that I mention that the objectives of this study were threefold. First, to examine how gender roles are depicted in the selected films. Second, to interpret how audiences, particularly postgraduate students with media training, receive these narratives. And third, to explore how factors like gender, upbringing, and cultural background shape those interpretations. And then under the methodology, I use a qualitative research approach, specifically focus group discussions with 34 postgraduate students of mass communication at Chukwuemeka Odumegwu University. Each group had between 11 to 12 participants, and all sessions were transcribed and analyzed thematically to allow me identify themes and interesting contradictions. These students were purposefully chosen for their media literacy and diverse backgrounds. And after all the analysis yielded 4 major themes, which I'll talk about now. The first major theme was the emergence of empowered female characters. Adeze in Lionheart was widely praised for being calm and intelligent and a problem solver. We also see the presence of Abigail Obiago, Adeze's mother, portrayed by Onyeko Wenume, so rest in peace. Although she isn't a minor character in terms of screen time, her composure, quiet wisdom, and unwavering support for Adeze reflects matriarchal resilience. She doesn't disrupt the patriarchy directly, she nurtures female ambition within it, which is just as important. Another female character worth noting in Lionheart is Chioma, Adeze's colleague and confidant at work. She subtly represents solidarity among working women, offering moral support in a male-dominated professional space. Now turning to Up North, the female presence is just as strong, even though it is more grounded in community transformation than corporate ambition. One of the standout female figures is Mariama, played by Rahama Sadu. She is not only a love interest in the film, but also a local educator and football advocate. Her role challenges stereotypes about Northern women. She is articulate, ambitious, and involved in social development. Through her, the film certainly addresses issues like education, autonomy, and female participation in sports. So in both films, empowerment is not isolated to a single heroine. It emerges through networks of female support and cultural defiance, showing that Nollywood is beginning to reflect more nuanced and layered female identities. Now, speaking on the second theme, redefining masculinity in Nollywood. In Up North, masculinity is redefined. Basi is nurturing and openly emotional, quite different from the hypermasculine archetypes we often see. And Basi is not alone in this shift. The character of Sadiq, his local guide and friend in Bauchi, also models a more grounded masculinity, rooted in cultural pride and respect for women. Sadiq doesn't resist Basi's change, he supports it. Now turning to Lionheart, we encounter a different kind of masculinity, less about emotional transformation, but more about mentorship, compromise, and humility. Take Chief Ernest Obiago, Adeze's father, played by Pete Edochie, a legendary symbol of patriarchal authority in Nollywood. His portrayal in Lionheart is softened. Even though he initially hesitates to hand over leadership to his daughter, but his eventual decision to step aside shows a willingness to yield power for competence. In that moment, masculinity is redefined, not as control, but as the wisdom to let go. We also have Goswe Obiago, Adeze's uncle, portrayed by Nkem Owo. At first, he appears unserious, a comic relief character, but he surprises us with his emotional intelligence and negotiation skills. His ability to support Adeze's vision while still navigating patriarchal norms paints a picture of masculinity that is collaborative rather than competitive. So in both films, male characters are given space to be more than just providers or protectors. They are mentors, allies, servants of the community, and even supporters of female ambition. On the third theme, audience interpretation and gender stereotype, one of the most thought-provoking elements that emerged from the study was the way the participants interpreted the same gender narratives in different ways. This diversity in interpretation confirms the central premise of the reception theory. Let's take Lionheart as an example. For some participants, Adeze's character was an embodiment of female strength without aggression. They appreciated her composure, intelligence, and ability to lead without conforming to stereotypically masculine behavior. To them, the film offered a strong feminist message wrapped in cultural familiarity, but others were less convinced. While they acknowledged Adeze's competence, they pointed out that she still didn't get the position of the managing director, clearly being the most qualified. One of the respondents said, after all her efforts, they still gave the top job to the uncle. What does that message send? So for some participants, the film disrupted patriarchal norms. Then for others, it simply repackaged these norms in a softer form. Now in Up North, I saw a similar split. Many participants were impressed by Bassie's emotional growth, a male character who listens, learns, and advocates for others. His support for the girls' football team was seen as a significant challenge to both Northern gender norms and the traditional Nollywood portrayal of men as emotionally closed off. But some participants felt the film still relied too heavily on the male savior narrative. Someone even said, we saw the girls play, but it was still Bassie's story. It felt like their empowerment was secondary. Now, this suggests that even well-intended films can unintentionally center male redemption arcs while sidelining the very women they aim to uplift. So on the last theme, influence of demographics on interpretation, I continued analyzing the responses from participants.
You have 2 minutes more.
Oh, and it was clear that influence of demographics on how the films were interpreted was evident. Things like gender, cultural background, personal values, and prior exposure to feminist or gender discourse all shaped the lens through which each participant decoded the messages in Lionheart and Up North. Now, since time is not on my side, I will move to the implications of my study. So having unpacked the findings from across those 4 themes, the next question becomes, what does all of this mean? What are the broader implications for gender representation in Nollywood and for how audiences engage with those representations? Now, it is clear that Nollywood is gradually shifting away from one-dimensional gender portrayals. Film like Lionheart and Up North shows that characters are becoming more layered. Women are no longer just wives or victims, and men are no longer defined by dominance alone. But these shifts are not yet complete. As we've seen, even in progressive narratives, patriarchal undertones still surface. This tells us that representation is improving, but not yet transformative. We are seeing movements, but not rupture. Now, to conclude, while Lionheart and Up North break some barriers, they still carry remnants of traditional structures. The films show us that gender narratives are shifting, but the journey is far from over. Nollywood must keep evolving, and so must its audiences. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you very much, Siva. I hate to cut you short, I was going to let you go on and on, but I wasn't sure if we had a Fancy Goodman or not. Thank you very much for your
Thank you.
presentation. Okay, do we have our last presenter, Fancy Goodman? No. Okay, no, not online yet. So that gives us ample time for discussion, and I believe the participants would really love for it because as a group, our target is to produce a special issue from the whole of the stream. So your contribution, questions that help them reflect would all be of best interest to both the panelists and even the organizers of the stream. I have a question of my own, but I would quickly ask my question and I'll allow you to gather your thoughts and your questions in the house and online. My question is across the participants, and you can just reflect on it, maybe like a minute each. So I'm wondering that can you tease out the evolution of women's role, from your own research perspective? How would you say women's role have evolved in the films that you've studied? I'll start from Lawrence Akonde, if you are still there.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, please, can you, Arafat and Lawrence Akonde, please, can you just come back to where you presented so that we can see you? Okay, so Siva, you can just attempt to answer why people in the house come up stage.
Okay, so like I mentioned, in the films that I studied, Nollywood is actually shifting away from what we've always seen women as. We've always seen women as victims. They've always given women weak storylines. But from the films I studied and the characters I mentioned during my presentation, Nollywood is moving far from that and giving women more meaningful roles that do not center around only just weakness. Let's take Adeze, for instance. Adeze works in a male-dominated field, but she still navigates that field without being loud, like we always saw in old Nollywood movies. Adeze was calm and still maintained an effective work approach in her field, even without being loud. And I think that is a positive evolution for women in Nollywood. That is a very good point for me.
Thank you. Thank you for your reflection. Okay, I'll go back to the house.
Okay.
Yes. Yes, please.
Okay. My study actually doesn't have to do with the films that they produce, but actually their job as the producer. So I'm not looking at the characters in the film, but I'm looking at the woman as producer, and which is a new thing in the industry where you have women as the directors or as the producer, and their films actually making wave and they are doing well in the box office. But if I want to look at the role given to women in some of the films, if I look at the
No, sorry, can I cut in? I would, if you can just reflect on the producers, the evolving role as producers, since that's what your topic speaks to, that would be good.
Yes. So I look at some of these producers. For example, let's look at Kemi Adetiba and the King of Boys. We look at the storyline, the character that was given to Eniola. In normal Nollywood film, it will have been given to a male character. And look at the title too, they call it King of Boys. Why will a woman become the King of Boys? So it shows in the new directive that these women are bringing into the industry that no, you don't really have to give such character to a male counterpart, rather, you can give it to a woman. A woman can be a leader in any, even in politics. And I think, like I used to say, filmmakers are actually they're like prophets that project into the future. And that's the kind of film that I like my own students to make. While you are looking at the future and you are making a film that says Nigeria has a female president. When Hollywood was giving us a black American president, there was no even black candidates among those people that were contesting. But after that, Obama became the president. So we are like prophets. So what we should project into that, and this is what our non female filmmakers are doing. So it's just like what that quote I made, that you just need to look at it objectively, not like in the case of Eniola. Rather than I'm expecting to see a movie that shows that in the nearest future we have female as Nigerian president, and that will look like a prophecy which can happen. So that's the new directive that I think our female filmmakers are leading.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Arafat, over to you.
Yeah, I'll just pick up from where Florence conversation around, having female as producers and directors. And that is why in our paper, it's important to look at the two folds. The business of film and then the stories that are being told. What is the evolution? What is the progression of portrayal of women? Now we have, like he said, we have women producing film, women directing film, women writing film. And then we look at the content, the story. We have stories about women before film. The tribe called Judah. There's a story that goes around a female character, the leader, and a progression around single motherhood. I mean, the story is about a woman, finally. And then we have Sister also, story about a woman who in progression in the course of her life also has gone through, several situations in life, and all through the direction of the plot. You see how she progresses from being a caterer, from being a mother, from being a sole provider, to being someone that actually sits back and takes the major decision of the life of our children, and also they did that to a large extent. We see other characters in the movie striving to provide for her, and that is something that is here in Nollywood stories. The women would always be sidelined. Women's stories would be like a afterthought or a foreshadowing or a flashback. But we have the projection of women's stories, women affiliation from the beginning to the conflict, to the end, to the resolution of the film. So I think that to a large extent, the business of film and the story of film, it shows how in this time women are prioritized, women's stories are prioritized. So, yeah.
Thank you very much. I'll come back to the house. Please, we have questions, comments.
Yes, I have a question, if you don't mind, for Lawrence. Thank you so much to the three of you. I really enjoyed your presentations. You mentioned the challenges that women filmmakers face, and I'm asking, I would like to know, do these challenges differ for men? That's my first question. The second one, if you don't mind, is what do you think is responsible for what you describe as the rise of women filmmakers?
Come again, that second question.
What do you think is responsible for the rise of women filmmakers? From your particular timing, the time frame you've examined. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Let me start with the first one. The challenges that women face. From my interviews, actually, some argue that, especially male filmmakers argue that the challenges is not really different from what the male counterpart face. But the argument is that the women actually face more challenges when it comes to raising funds.
Why?
Some people argue against that it's not, because the young filmmakers do that. The women had opportunity to raise more funds than they do, but they think the older ones think that maybe because of gender bias, that mostly when you want to raise funds, especially in this, but when it has to do with a male is the one in charge of the fund, they want something in exchange, which they don't ask for from guys. It's business to business. I give you this money and then I want to make this back. But when it comes to female, this aspect comes in that, I want this in addition to profit. So which is the challenge that women face a lot when it comes to raising funds for their fields. And then the other one you ask is, what is responsible for the rise of women in I think one of the things that is responsible from my interview is the education. In those days, women are not so educated. It's male. So, but now, look at all these people I make reference to. Some of them actually went to film school. And film school is not cheap. So they have that educational background that is helping them that you can do this, that these people are doing. So education is one of the most important aspects that is helping women to challenge, because in film school, they make films like their counterparts, like their male counterparts, and they're able to explore their interests. So education is one thing I discovered from my interview that make them to be able to get to where they are today, unlike what you do.
Thank you so much. Do you mind if I ask a follow-up question to that? Madam Chair, are you still with us? I have a follow-up. Should I go ahead?
Please, with pleasure.
Okay, thank you. But there's a hand next to me that just went up. Okay, another one. All right, so let me.
I also have question online, but so
okay,
we'll take yours first.
The follow-up question I have is with respect to what Lawrence just said about women being requested to give more, unlike men. That sounds to me, I may be wrong, but that sounds to me like when we were still in the informal economy. I mean, there is still that now, but remember that Jonathan Haynes has been written about the corporatization of the film industry, which suggests to us strongly that informal economy is being dismantled in very small and meaningful ways, such as people now signing contracts, people now financing films in very formal and documented ways, as opposed to what we had back in the 1990s, when business deals were just signed or sealed by handshakes. So when you think about filmmakers like Mo Abudu and Kemi Adetiba and all the others you mentioned, it didn't sound to me like they were the ones who would be asked for something in exchange just because they wanted to be given money for film productions and all, because there are women who have come into their own, and can stand up to any organization, not even individual. So is that something you want to think about again and just highlight this evolution?
Yes, maybe let me just respond to that. I think I talked about what Chioma said about the challenges the informal economy that we're running. And also people like Kemi Adetiba, those who have made it to the top, don't have this challenge. But the young filmmaker, for example, yesterday I was in conversation with a young female filmmaker who happened to be, she has gone on set today. She was around yesterday and told me that she has like over 3 million with someone who's supposed to bring equipment to her set, but couldn't. And then she's having that challenge. So the young filmmakers having this challenge, they're the one that said this is the challenge they're having with fundraising. But most of these top female filmmakers that Kemi Adetiba they are talking about, they're established. They are already established in the industry. But the young one comes and they won't facing this challenge. You remember in my presentation when we was talking about funding as a challenge, but someone like what's her name disagree with that she's not facing that. Why? Because she has the name already. Who's this? What's her name?
Is it Biodun Stevens?
Biodun Stevens, yes. She's not having this challenge. She's established. So even it's a joy for someone who is an investor to want to invest in a movie than someone that is just going that is not known.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Yes. Good
Okay,
evening.
I'll take the next question.
Yes.
Okay. Good evening. My name is Okakasu Mashidi Oshuke from Yale University, Kano. I'll add a question to what you said and also make another comment. Yes, as regards funding, I'm glad that you said that it's easier for the one that have got the issue for themselves to access funds compared to the upcoming your young filmmakers. I think there's no gender disparity in this. As an upcoming filmmaker, the jungle is tough for both male and female. Because even for the men, you have those female people using space.
Okay, we're back.
I saw in your findings, I saw where somebody said funding is the problem, the challenge. Then Kula Flayan said that no, that there's no segregation in the amongst male and female filmmakers. So you need basically to reconcile that so that, or you make a stand that yes, this is what this person said, this is what this person said, this work is making a standard. Yes, there is no segregation or there is, so that your findings will not contradict your position. Thank you, Lord.
Thank you. All right.
Thank you. I want to take the question online, then we'll come back to the house if you don't mind. So we have a question for Onyinye. Okay, I'll just read verbatim. I enjoyed your presentation very much. You focused mostly on narrative elements. In the longer work, did you consider style? For example, what do you make of the closing image of Lionheart, where we have a reverse shot segment between Ada and the son of the northern partner? That is one part. Then the second part, is your expectation then that successful women have to be calm, or that calm, successful women are better than others? Oh yeah, all the best with that. Did you catch that? Sylvia? Okay.
This, I don't really understand the question, and it will take time for me to decode that and answer properly. It is
I'll break
not
it.
in scope with what I.
Okay, let me give you this one. It said the reversal shot at the end of the film between Ada and that son. So that, what do you make of that style?
Ada and the son?
Ada and the son of the northern partner. So it was referring to your style, the style of the film, not just the element. Okay, so if you don't want to deal with that one, you can deal with the second one. Is it your expectation then that successful women have to be calm, or that calm, successful women are better than others?
I can't really say anything on that, but because my study is centered on evolution in Nollywood, and we've always seen women as they need to the characters, we are given roles that need to do too much in male-dominated fields. But this Lionheart showed us a different approach to gender being depicted in Nollywood like we usually see. So I'm not saying that calm, successful women are better, but according to the study I did, I only worked on the evolution.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. I'll go back to the house to take question. We still have question online, but let's go back to the house.
All right. My name is Dr. Kichu, from University of Nigeria, Soka. Well, before my question, I want to make a general comment, which is that just like my brother said before, they pointed out to the brother in your presentation. Generally, I want us to also know that men also face their own challenges. media in film production. Also, I also want those in gender, those who are looking gender discourse and research. I want you to also start thinking towards another area while conducting your investigations and doing your research. Because we in the news, we in the media, there is something we used to say. We used to say that what makes more news is when man bites a dog, not when dog bites man. That is to say that while conducting this research, and it's all that most of you focus only you extracted your views mostly from women. Don't you think you can as well get something even better? Probably you can compare to what you got from the views you got from the women. Just like my sister whose own was she went on interviewing up to 34 women in focus group discussion. She could have maybe sought the views of the men also on how women are being portrayed in Nigerian films, which can also bring more perspective to show you that there are like other people that men also feel what you are feeling or not. So I think it's also that thing should also be considered. Maybe you have future research, or if there is any way you can also add it there. It's also nice. Then my sister specifically, the one more specifically, I want to ask, why did you just focus on up to 34 women in the focus group discussion? I didn't hear you tell us the reason behind this. Thank you.
Let's take the other question. Elizabeth, are you still with us?
Yes. I am with you. Okay, we have another question. Okay.
My contribution is that success is a journey. And we can look at this women today and assume that they are successful maybe because they are smarter than others or not. But I want to tell you that we need to go down and see their pains and the choice that gone with that. We also need to look at what actually has happened in terms of maybe government intervention, in terms of private sector participation and all that. Because this success didn't just come overnight. Yes, they started making money. But they did that because at a point in time, people started believing that, yes, if I put X amount of money on this project, it will come back to me. We had a film industry that was, being the financial institutions started coming in. And then you have situation, people take money and not pay that. And then everyone stayed away from the industry and everything went under. But when people came, some of these women that we talk about, they tried to do their best so that when corporate organizations give them money to do projects, they deliver. You see that most of the TV series we're watching were being sponsored by some multinationals. They were giving them money and those shows were going on. And because of that, the industry became a point of attraction for everyone. And we're seeing films that are competing at least closely with things that we watch from abroad. That's one. Then the financial institutions themselves, they started getting interest because in 2008, thereabouts, Zuma Film Festival had a forum. We brought in Mrs. Yemi Ali from Ecobank. We brought in someone from another bank, about 2 or 3 bankers came, and they assured the industry that, look, there's knowledge to be made in this industry, but we need data to work with, we need accountability, we need all these things. Some of them, they came and gave their papers. And, it was a kind of people met, and then, we started seeing that confidence. Investments started coming in and all that. So
thank you, ma'am.
Also consider that. Thank you.
Thank you. Please, the next question. Yes, please.
Actually, my question is directly to the I think it's very interesting. Okay, I think it's an interesting debate. But I think we are looking at these challenges in one direction. We're looking at the financial aspect challenges and the rest. There are other challenges, social challenges. Let's take an example with this. It can be with industry because I an industry in a region that is all innovative region. So it has to face a lot of challenges of the topic. And when women now started to start making things of their own, especially things that are meant to empower.
Sorry, please, is that a question?
Yes, it's a question. It's a question.
Okay, please land the question so that they can respond. Thank you.
Okay, well, in a nutshell, my question is, why I will suggest you look at the social aspects of these challenges of workplace. You take a thing like money matter in family now, it's all about women empowerment. So there are lots of challenges apart from financial challenges. Although also other challenges. Maybe.
Okay.
Response to that.
Response, please. Yes, please. By all means.
Okay. Let me start by appreciating you for comments and your questions. Number one on this interview video. Remember, the title of my paper is Right. So I will just concentrate on interview. I see interview players, but those people are looking at the filmmakers themselves. We can be here and we can see these are the things that they're doing. But I wanted to hear from them. And from that challenges, the most important one that we are talking about is finance. That's why I have to keep pressing. Why is it finance that is the challenge for women? I for this paper, I was not impressed with the challenge that they I don't blame people for one challenge, but it is on the rights of women and what are the perspectives. Because you can say that everybody in the industry is happy with the rights of women. Some may might not be happy. And I want to find out what it is, but from what I might discover is that they are happy because they believe that women are bringing a different perspective into the industry. So which is one of the things I discovered from my study. And also you are saying something about the social aspects. Yes, it's a good thing maybe that I have to look into as what are the social challenges that face. And one other thing that we didn't talk about is even the technical challenges. Because most of the people who are in the technical aspect are men. So what happened when, for example, the lady I was having discussion with yesterday, the person that took away at 300,000 is a male that's supposed to bring light to a set. So you see, it's a challenge. So that's what I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I will let Siva respond to our own question. Somebody asked about your focus group.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
He mentioned that I only chose women for my focus group discussion. I apologize, I didn't mention the gender. Actually, both men and women were included in my focus group discussions, and I selected 34 postgraduate students of mass communication because of their literacy in film studies and diverse background. The diverse backgrounds was very important for my study, because I also mentioned that
are you still with us?
Demographic characteristics influence how they narrate these films. So yes. Okay. I'm done.
Thank you. I believe that clears the air. I have a question for Arafat if I come back to the house for more questions. Thank you for your presentation, but I was wondering that how do you conceptualize sensationalism, especially given the medium which you work with, the audio-visual medium? Do you think that medium has any peculiarity in advancing sensationalism? Number one is two-in-one question. How do you conceptualize sensationalism? Within which framework is it that you hold sensationalism? then do you think that the medium of film bears any influence in terms of sensationalism?
Thank you so much for that. The first question is how do we contextualize sensationalism in the medium of film? So yeah, it is first draft that we sent for this paper. Our position was from, like I said, David Perry, and perspective about the medium of media in particular, and how he has experimented by taking a particular story from one region to another region and see how people perceive it. And then the feedback we got was to look at Brasmerian and sensationalism conception in Ghana, particularly the medium of film. And that would say that was what spiked the enforcement of the theme of sensationalism for us in this film. That yes, he has a position in the medium of film by looking at how Brasmerian talked about how the themes and the depiction of social issues are exaggerated in the film medium, especially in Ghana. And then he used examples from ritualistic and occultic themes that were peculiar in that area. And then when he experimented, and then he saw that those particular mediums were exaggerated, those particular themes were exaggerated in such a way that when people left after watching the film, they were confused. Like, is this how we are in real life? So those were the things that we put together to say, oh, let us see how sensationalism is. What is sensationalism? How does it take place in the medium of media, firstly, and then how does it sit in film? So those were the two things that we meant together to say, oh, this conception of sensationalism for our analysis.
All right, thank you.
I think there's a second one. I don't think I've answered it.
Yeah, you touched on it while you were actually answering the first one.
Can I get the second one again?
Yeah, so the second question is, if you think there's a peculiarity with the medium of film that enables sensationalism.
Yeah, I think then the peculiarity, for example, we see that in our analysis, both films are satire. They are talking about the depiction of what an eyes of reality, what's really happening. It then comes the question that when you are looking at comedy, or when you are looking at, let's say, a tragic film, how does sensationalism take place? How do we situate sensationalism? How do they exaggerate the themes, the features to say, let us attract or appeal to the audience? So I think for us, as a medium, particularly as a type of a film in particular, satire makes sensationalism more easy to come out in some way, or to, let's say, portray in some way, rather than any part of film.
Thank you, Arafat. We still have some minutes more. Anybody with a question, with a comment?
There's actually a second question online.
Somebody deleted. Is it back? It was deleted, so I checked and
Okay.
I checked and the person deleted. So what I have here is comments, not. Okay.
I have a contribution. I have something to remark on for Sylvia. One more. That was a very interesting presentation, like all the others. And as she spoke, this is something that Elizabeth has already mentioned before, but as you spoke, Sylvia, I was thinking about what differences we could see or tease out from the two films that you've examined and previous films that have also attempted in the minds of scholars to shape gender narratives? Because you've looked at two very recent films, fairly recent films. But Nollywood started in 1992, as we've learned. So are you able to reference some films from 1992 to the time that Up North and Lionheart made, to sort of draw some connections or disconnections by way of how gender is represented? I know that you've done a reception study and that some of these films I speak about may not even be there to show to an audience and ask what their perceptions are. But in terms of your own analysis of the films, as well as the comments or feedback from your focus group, would you like to make those references? That's what I'm trying to say. Thank you.
Okay. I didn't really study these films in particular, but I studied how these films, the perception of the viewers of these films. But I would say, like I mentioned in my study, that Nollywood has gone beyond giving certain roles to certain genders. And in my work, I think I mentioned old films like The Glamour Girls, Nneka the Pretty Serpent, Domitilia. We all know how women were portrayed in these films. And I mentioned that I chose Lionheart and Up North because they disrupt this pattern, at least for me. Thank you.
I think we can just use this few minutes to talk. Actually, you can jump in on this too, if you wish. I get the point that Annalise is pointing at, because it's hard for you to speak of evolving roles if you're not going to visit the past. And that's why I asked the first question about the evolving roles that women are playing, either on screen or outside screen. So even in terms of perception too, so how were they perceived before? That would help us tell what is changing in perception. I guess that's what even Annalise is hinting at. Am I right, Prof?
Yes, that's it. Thank you. Tony Adler has asked a question online, and it appears that he's upset that we haven't asked his question. So can you please check?
It was deleted. I checked. I saw this thing about filmmaking now that we have film schools, and then it disappeared. So I thought he deleted it. So if you can send it again, it's not here anymore.
But
yes,
I think it's my fault. It will be in the answers. Can you want to check the answers? Because I attempted a response to his question. So you will find
who asked you to answer. Sorry, we are online. We are online. This is
it seems like the
sorry.
question was for the panelists. Sorry, I mean for the hosts. Because
Sorry, my bad. This is formal. Okay, so let's get back to formal language. Okay, so I'll check for it. Please, the host, can you also help me dig that out? I'm trying to figure this out.
So when you open the chat,
answers.
Okay. Yes, click on answers, you'll find it.
Great question. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so now that people have brought up film schools, has anyone on the panel examined the pathway for Nigerian women filmmakers, more especially how many moved directly to directing? Any who worked as cinematographer or editor before editing? Is there a pattern of movement from producing / distributing to directing? So I guess this is for everybody in the room. Even organizers can dive in. Panelists, do you want to respond or?
I can respond to that. At least
Thank you, sir.
I'm a teacher. So
thank you.
The new move is that you find even female students picking up interest in technical aspects of film. Yesterday, I was in the discussion with a student that said she wants to specialize in sound design. And I remember at National Film Institute, there's one particular student that I thought that became specialized in that. A lady, yes. So I asked her to come and do her master's. But the female students are picking up interest. And personally, to me, this is me. I don't see gender. We are the same. So I encourage my students, I say, no, those people who are doing technical things, they don't have two heads. You have the same. So it's just because they're picking up, you decide and say, no, I want the instruction, but it's not. You only need to. I know if you want to go into sound, you need the basic knowledge of science, which is not something from the sky. So I'm just
okay. I want to point at this before we go join the boss for the closing for the award ceremony. There's this part that he said, from your work, have you noticed a pattern where these filmmakers are moving from producing/distributing to directing?
Yes, direct is actually the most, I always tell, is the lazy ones that want to specialize in direct.
No. Have you noticed a pattern that the filmmakers you are studying, have they moved from producing to directing?
To directing, yes. For example, Funke Akindele is one good example, who is now directing film. Though when you look at a film, you can say that that's not as great, but she still directs some of her film. So some of them are moving because everybody believes that the director is the owner of the film, the creative owner of the film. Because of that, everybody wants to direct. But
thank you.
Not that right. Please.
Thank you very much. Sorry to the person that asked the question online. I thought it had been deleted because I checked and could not find it, but thank you for the question. We'll reflect on it as even stream organizers. It's very important. Thank you, everybody online, on site. I wish you were there to attend the ceremony, but please drink for two. Thank you so much for joining us here and enjoy the evening.